onto our speaker for the day. We have, and her face isn't on because of connection problems, but we have, if you take a look at your screen where it says Dr. Bobbie Richardson, she's the first vice chair of the state party, and she's experienced serving in the House of Representatives. She comes out of an active county background experience, and she's a retired educator. And she's going to talk with us about the joy of being a Democrat here in North Carolina. Bobbie, take it away.
Thank you, Godfrey. I appreciate it. And I do apologize, but I'm in the country down in Franklin County, and my bandwidth is very small. Therefore, I cannot deliver a message over the phone, and had every intention of going to my sister's last night in Raleigh, but ended up with a migraine. So I apologize, but once I finish my speech, I will come back on for a visual so that people know that I do exist and that I'm not a robot. So first thing I want to say is good morning to the fellow Democrats of Rowan County, and thank Jeffrey and his wife Dottie for the invitation to be your guest speaker. I also want to thank you all for being here this morning at your breakfast. In normal times, we would have said you could have been anywhere you want to be, but you chose to be at the breakfast. But now, even though we are staying safe and staying home, you still could have had other options this morning that you had chosen to do. So we thank you for dedicating this time to the Rowan Democratic Breakfast. And it sounds like you all are really a great group to work with. And that is why I say that it is such a joy to be a Democrat. I want to put a little commercial in here, if I may. I am also a candidate for the chair of the North Carolina Democratic Party, and that those offices will be voted on in February. Right now, we've scheduled a date of the 27th. I also want to agree with Jeffrey that we have should be applauding ourselves, and definitely you all there in Rowan County, for all of the hard work, the sacrifices, the time and resources that you all gave during one of the most important elections of our lifetime, an election that saved our democracy and put decency back into our country. I appreciate the fact that on our debriefing meeting earlier this week, it seems that you all have taken the lead and gone forward and looked at the things that you did well and the things that you will improve upon, but we are certainly grateful for all of the work that you did in Rowan County. I also would like to join Jeffrey in thanking your Board of Election members there, and I know what it's like to not be able to find volunteers, because it is very difficult. When I was chair of the Franklin County Democratic Party, it was probably the most challenging part of being the chair was to find volunteers to make sure that our precincts, and we only had 16 at that time. Now we have 18. But I do want to talk to you this morning about the joy of being a Democrat. And you may be sitting there thinking, that's a weird topic considering the outcome of this election. But I think that regardless of what the outcome of this election was, even though we didn't win the presidential election, the U.S. Senate, we didn't win all of the Council of State seats, we didn't gain control of the North Carolina General Assembly. Every judge that we had on the ballot lost at the on the ballot at the federal level or at the judicial level. Our lieutenant governor did not win. Secretary of Labor, Insurance, Superintendent of Public Instruction. However, we can still show that there is joy in being a Democrat, because we did, the voters in Rowan County and also all 99 other counties turned out the greatest number of Democratic voters in the history of North Carolina. We re-elected a Democratic governor, attorney general, 3 council of state positions, some local races, and continued to maintain a veto proof for Governor Roy Cooper in the North Carolina General Assembly, as small as it may be. We are so grateful that the White House will become a symbol of integrity, pride, honest leadership, and the office of the Vice President will be a voice for the hard-working voices of so many women, Black and brown, and Americans from all walks of life. We will again be respected by the world leaders, and that is a great accomplishment. The joy of being a Democrat is we know we built the American human infrastructure. If you think about it, the Democratic presidents in the past are the people that have always made conscientious choices about patriotism in their decision making. We can thank President Roosevelt for the New Deal, a package of social reform programs that paved the path for an array of services to support American working families. Also, President Roosevelt for the Social Security Act. My mother is 96 years old, and if it had not been for the Social Security Act, she was a farmer and she would not have any income at this time. And there are so many senior citizens that have been able to benefit, and we will not let anyone tell us that Social Security is a socialism program, because we all worked hard for those benefits and we invested in ourselves for those of us who did maintain work that had an hourly salary or income from an employee. We also thank President Johnson for the Civil Rights Act, the Voting Rights Act, Fair Housing Act. And when we think about the great deficit that our country is in under this president, we are so grateful for the fact that President Clinton and President Obama, 2 Democratic presidents, are the only 2 presidents that have had a balanced budget in a long time. Many of us are so grateful for the Affordable Care Act passed by President Obama that gave millions access to health care, saved thousands of lives, and strengthened the healthcare system. The Affordable Care Act has been a life-changing law for people who were previously uninsured. With President-elect Biden and Vice President-elect Harris, our country will see leadership that will attack COVID-19 in a fashion that will give us our freedom back. We will see America build back better, and we will experience a kinder, more humane country than we have experienced for the last 4 years. We will have leaders with integrity. We will have leaders that will not break the law. We will have leaders that will make decisions based on what is best for all Americans. If this doesn't give you the joy of being a Democrat, I ask, what will? However, I caution us not to let others steal our joy by falling for the Republican soundbite, which starts a negative conversation on the things that our newly elected leadership would do. I urge us to make our own soundbites, see the good in their leadership, understand the complexity of what they inherited, and work like we never worked before to add to the federal election, our Congress and our U.S. Senate, and also to make sure that we can increase the numbers at the North Carolina General Assembly so that our country can be built back better and North Carolina can get back on the path to a progressive state that it used to be under governors like Hunt and Easley and Beverly Perdue. Those are the things and those are the accomplishments that gives me joy, and I certainly hope it gives you joy to be a Democrat. We must elect a Democratic senator in 2022. We must increase Democrats in the General Assembly in 2022. We must be proud to say I am a proud Democrat. And regardless of how many Republican friends you have, we must vote for the Democrats who shares our values and governs and believe in governing for all. Because as I witnessed in the North Carolina General Assembly, there were very good Republicans in that chamber. But when it came to voting, they had to put their thoughts and their interests aside and vote for the decisions of the majority. And many people will tell you, I don't vote for the party, I vote for the person. That may have been true back in the days when there was civility among the partisan elected officials, but that camaraderie has gone out the window. So I urge you to make sure that when we vote, we're voting for people who value our ideology and will work to ensure that all North Carolinians and all Americans have access and opportunities to all of the benefits that are needed to have a good quality of life. We need to start now preparing, registering, and educating our voters, looking to 2024 to retain the governor's office, to take back the Council of State, to increase our Democratic elected officials up and down the ticket, and yes, to make sure that we keep a Democrat in the presidential as our president. We need to always be working toward the next election, 2021, 2022, and on, because democracy is not a part-time job. It is a full-time job, and I take my hat off to you because I understand that you have a full-time headquarters and you have part-time staff. That shows the Democrats in Rowan County that democracy is very important and that you're willing to make the sacrifices to maintain this office and to pay people to be there, to be available for the citizens who come by. The joy of being a Democrat is similar to being a true follower of the teaching of our holy books. In Matthew 25, verse 40, the king will reply, "Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me." So if you really want to serve him, the best way is to start by doing what Democrats do, serving the needy. I beseech us as Democrats to continue to practice and make policies that will serve all of the citizens of North Carolina. Don't be like the Republican Party and tax the poor, increase the wealth of the few, oppress others because you have the power, teach hate and bigotry, endanger the lives of millions by not following the signs of how to handle the pandemic, and to admit that there is that we need to have climate control. Don't surround yourself with criminally minded people or commit crimes as you try to lead in your respective positions. Don't do as they have done, denying others the freedom to live their lives as they choose, as within the freedom granted by the Constitution. I was on a debriefing with Josh Stein's election, and out of that debriefing came the notion that the majority of the Republicans who voted for President or number 45 were non-college educated voters who are frozen in time and who fear progress. We believe in progress, and we believe that our Democratic ideology supports progress and builds on the future for our children and our grandchildren. Joy is being a Democrat. Let's practice that every day. I want to give a shout out to your congressional district chair who works hard, and I know that she is on. So we give her a shout out because she was truly instrumental in helping to turn out the HBCU votes, the historically Black college university voters that helped make a difference in the elections that we won. Congratulations to Rowan for your effort, and we continue to look for great things to come out of Rowan County. We think that eventually you will educate your voters and they will understand that many of them are voting against their own interests. Finally, I am and will continue to be a happy Democrat, but I will also know when to be a disappointed Democrat. I reserve the right to be a disappointed Democrat in this election because we selectively chose to vote for one Democratic candidate over another Democratic candidate, solely because of sexism or racism. I don't know which. Qualified African-American Democratic women did not get elected, while other white Democrats did get elected. But that's a discussion for another time. Again, thank you for allowing me to share these brief remarks, and I wish all of you and your families be blessed, continue to stay safe, and best wishes for the upcoming holidays and beyond, and continue to know that the North Carolina Democratic Party is a strong force, and we will continue to get stronger. We will continue to raise money. We will continue to get volunteers. We will stay in touch with our volunteers, and we will be prepared for the next elections and all elections to come. Thank you. God bless. Happy holidays, and may we all sing the song, I am proud to be a Democrat. And now I will turn my phone off and I will join you on Zoom. Thank you so much.
Hey, thank you, Bobbie. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Put up the claps, put up the claps. It's great to be reminded of all the reasons why we're Democrats.